Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Brother Sid. I have Brother Quran assisting me today. We are the Commandment Keepers Church. We have a detailed broadcast for our brothers and sisters internationally. The title of today's broadcast will be Racial Fatigue. Racial fatigue, brothers and sisters. We're talking that. Okay. Today, we're diving straight into the eye of the storm. We've all seen the headlines. There's an undeniable online phenomenon exploding across social media right now. Black fatigue. Black fatigue. We're seeing a massive viral wave of white people openly declaring they are fatigued, they are exhausted with blacks. And we have to discuss that today, okay? We have to talk about it. Why? This isn't just modern internet drama. This is a symptom of a much deeper ancient reality, brothers and sisters. 2,000 years ago, Christ pulled back the curtain on the final hours of human history. He didn't just predict chaos, he explicitly prophesied the exact high stakes racial tensions tearing our society apart today. Okay, in this video, brothers and sisters, we are connecting the dots. We are breaking down the viral phenomenon of Black fatigue, exposing the roots of this cultural divide. Remember, most people totally ignored the white man, Jeffrey Kinzer, who showed up at a Black family reunion and opened fire on people he never met before.
A Lee County family is speaking out, recalling the terrifying moments when they say a man armed with an AR-style rifle opened fire on their family reunion. And thank you for joining us at 5 o'clock. I'm Greg Lloyd.
And I'm Carla Heat Sands.
Now, that shooting happened Sunday evening on Autumn Leaf Drive in Leesburg. The Lee County Sheriff's Office says Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer shot at partygoers after a verbal altercation occurred. No one in the family was reportedly injured, and Kinzer was shot after a family member returned fire.
He was charged with aggravated assault. WAOB News 10's Mariah Norman sits down with a witness who says their family was racially targeted.
This family says they were celebrating a birthday and spending time together before a man they identify as a neighbor pulled up and opened fire with an AR-style rifle. Witnesses say the family was gathered outside for a reunion Sunday night when a car drove by. A white man who witnesses say was Jeffrey Tyler Kinzer was inside the car yelling racial slurs at the group.
When he's talking junk and he started yelling the N-word, he kept going, so we let him go. And we were just discussing what just happened, why he tripping.
But Green says Kinzer came back, this time wearing armor and carrying a rifle. Oh my God!
And then that's when everybody started running. He got a gun. All the kids, they were making sure the kids get in the house. And people started taking positions because they seen he had a gun. And I was in the middle of the street. That's when he raised it and fired. Boom. And I grabbed my gun and started returning fire and moving with him.
Green says he's a Marine veteran. He says he was willing to defend his family, including children and older adults who were present.
It was so hurtful. I cried all night. I'm laying outside on the ground through a shootout under a car with my other auntie, my other sister, who is 77, and I'm 62.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Matthew 24. Okay, because what the time we're in was prophesied by Christ. Okay, the racial division, brothers and sisters, only goes up from here. It doesn't go down. It only goes up from here. And people are shocked because they don't read the Bible. They're not familiar with what the Bible prophesied. One thing Christ told us is in the last days, there's going to be racial division. Satan is going to promote a level of racial division we haven't seen ever. And those are strong words. Okay, let's go to Matthew 24. Right? We're going to read 4 through 7. Why? When you read earlier in the chapter, the disciples asked Christ, what will be going on in the last days? Right? How do we know that the end is near? Okay. How do we know that the end is near, brothers and sisters? Let's take a look at what he says, 4 through 7.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 4. And, and Yeshua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places.
Brothers and sisters, the first thing he tells us in verse 4 and 5 is what? He says, in the last days, Christianity will be the biggest religion, right? He says, many will come in my name saying, I am Christ. Doing what? Deceiving many people. So he says, Christianity will be a very deceptive religion when Christ returns. Okay, we're there. Okay, Christianity, the Catholic Church, is the biggest religion. It is the most deceptive religion. Okay, but I don't want to deal with that part. Look at verse 6 and 7, right? Look at what he says here. He says, look for these things to know when the second coming is close. Take a look.
Matthew 24 and 6. And ye shall hear of wars, and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places.
Brothers and sisters, he says, nation shall be against nation. That's nationality against nationality, right? Kingdom versus kingdom is country versus country, right? But nation against nation, a lot of people thought that was country versus country. No. Okay, kingdom versus kingdom is country versus country. Nation is nationality. So Christ provided us with a glimpse of how society will appear as we near the end times. You see that? His disciples inquired about the signs they should watch for to know when his second coming would be near. Think about that. The disciples demanded answers, pressing him for the exact explosive signs that would signal his imminent return, brothers and sisters. And one of the things he said was nation against nation. Brace yourself. Look directly at the shocking predictions Christ made about what people will face in the final days. Think about that. Driven by urgency, the disciples begged to know the undeniable warning signs of his fast approaching second coming. Take a look, right? They demanded a roadmap, desperate to decode the chaotic indicators foretelling his ultimate return, right? Examine those staggering prophecies. Christ revealed the raw, chaotic rituals, right? Take a look. Really consider this. Really consider this. This is what he's telling us. These things would collide. There would be tumultuous times in the end. Right? His radical teachings paint a gripping, high-stakes picture of the massive trials and earth-shattering events defining the end of the age. Okay, according to the teachings of the Bible, it warns us to be prepared for a significant rise in tensions relating to race. Right? Think about that. The Bible instructs us to expect a surge in racial tension. See that? See? According to the teachings of the Bible, there will be a surge in racial conflicts that will challenge the harmony and unity of societies all over the globe. See that? Christ cautioned us that the media, right? The media would start to incite fabricated racial conflict to create disunity, right? So they would promote this, right? They would do what, brothers and sisters? Right? The algorithms, they would start to use the algorithms to promote a level of division that should not be accurate. Right? He says you're going to hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? Rumors of wars. Some of those wars are racial, right? Because why? The algorithm, right? The algorithm wants to show you all Black people's transgressions, right? That's what's on the algorithm. We know who controls the algorithm. Right? Christ cautioned us that the media would start to do this. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. So some of what they're showing wouldn't even be true. Okay, the scriptures warn of a future where racial tensions and divisions will intensify. Think about that. The text foresee a time when racial conflict will reach unprecedented levels, causing strife and discord on a global scale. Right? Christ warned us that the media would start promoting manufactured racial conflict to sow discord. What do we mean by this? Did the situations happen? They did happen, but how you're seeing them, right? How they're on your timeline, right? How come it's so one-sided, right? How come the only people you're seeing on the news are black, right? We have to really ask this, right? When you take a step back, right? Even when you look at the youngins, right? The young kids, right? Let's say a 13, 14-year-old commit a crime. Usually you don't put a 13 and 14-year-old's name on news. They do it when they're black. Usually they don't show the face of a minor. They do when they're black. Take a look at it. See, these are the small details that unless you're black, you may not even notice. Right? When it's a young white kid or a young Asian kid, most times you never see the face. You don't get the name. They say, well, you know what? Because we're charging them as a minor, which they don't do usually when you're black. We have to put it out there, right? And here at the Commandment Keepers Church, we hold black people accountable. So anyone who follows our channel knows we don't make up no excuses for black people. We we excoriate our community when needed. Okay? But we also going to call out fabricated algorithms also. Okay, biblical teachings warn us of a global increase in racial and ethnic conflict during the end times, brothers and sisters. Scriptures suggest these tensions will reach unprecedented levels, threatening social harmony. Okay, we're living in a time of racial division. Okay, and it's the time that the Bible prophesied was coming. Right? Look closely at Matthew 24:7, because the final warnings of Christ are unfolding right before our eyes. Right before our eyes. Okay, when Christ declared the nation will rise against nation, he's referring to nationality wars. Okay, Christ wasn't just predicting wars between political borders or standard country lines. Okay, he was pulling back the curtain on a terrifying end times surge of global ethnic warfare. Okay, he prophesied a time when culture would clash violently with culture on a massive scale. Okay, this means deep-seated racial division and tribal conflicts will absolutely shake the foundations of our society. Okay, look around, brothers and sisters. Look around at the rising cultural tensions, the systemic friction, and the modern ethnic battle lines. Think about it. Christ explicitly warned us, okay, that this intense fracturing would be a definitive sign of the last days. Okay, we're living in a time of racial division like we haven't seen in many years, and that's a fact we can't deny. Many people totally ignore the white controversial streamer, Chud the Builder, who intentionally tries to antagonize black men by calling them chimps.
Brother, man.
Come on. Come chimp over here. Come chimp over here. Why y'all acting like that?
I don't know, man.
Act like animals. You're chimping out. Look at these niggers chimping out. Don't walk up on me. Don't walk up on me either.
Let's go.
You hear me?
That's cool, man.
We got the white cuck.
Let's go. Come on.
Race trader.
Man, fuck that shit, dude. You're talking crazy, man.
No, I'm saying it's a constitutional right to record. I asked them if they need any water.
But you don't have to,
I can say whatever I
You don't
want.
have to antagonize him.
Ain't nobody antagonizing nobody. He's chimping out.
N-word, man.
Nigger's not antagonization. It's called freedom of speech.
Right, but I mean, It's an intelligence.
You're a race trader. You're going to be viral tomorrow. So just walk away. I walked over there asking that nigger if he wants a water.
Then how you gonna go to doing that and you trying to do something like that?
I'm trying to be nice to him.
But why you calling?
And then he said, "Why you recording me?" Because I can.
No, that's disrespectful though. But
Well, you got it. Otherwise, I'm going to show up and I'm going to tell the nigger to stop chimping out. All I want to teach you guys is that it's totally legal for anyone to come up over here and record you. You can chimp out, ooga booga all you want. Yeah. What's up?
I made chapter of the world. I don't give a fuck about that. Why you man? Why the fuck you come up here?
Well, because it's just, I can help you guys. It's my right to do so. If you don't want to educate yourself, well, stop chimping out, because you're going to get yourself hurt.
You came in my goddamn face. I'm going to get hurt by that. I want to go goddamn
Keep chimping out.
Keep on what? What the fuck is going to happen?
Keep chimping out.
Feel me. Feel me.
Keep it up, buddy.
Run.
Run what?
The fuck your
I'm right here.
Shit,
You might want to back up out of my space. Keep threatening me, buddy.
I ain't threatening shit. Keep that goddamn
Threaten me, buddy.
You heard the fuck I said.
Keep chimping out.
You want chimping out, being a bitch.
I have the right to record you.
Right to your asshole.
Everybody has the right to record you. This is America.
Boy.
Ain't shit gonna happen.
Boy.
I done did this shit live on camera. Boy.
Call me a boy again.
Boy.
Okay then. Got some for your ass.
You ain't got shit for me, nigger. Ain't nobody racist. I can say what I want though, bitch. Just like I can record who I want, bitch. Keep walking your fucking chimp ass around like you're gonna do some shit.
Chud the Builder is a streamer who intentionally tries to antagonize black men to stoke racial division. We're living in a time where people are entertained by racial division, brothers and sisters. Okay? Let's talk about it. Chud the Builder is making millions of dollars because there's a segment of white folks who love to see this racial provocation. And we have to put it out there. Okay. We don't have a problem with white people. There's white people in our church, okay, that sit with us every Sabbath. Okay. But we're going to talk the truth here. We're going to speak the truth. There is a segment of white folks out there who feel this way. And see, I'm okay with white people being racist or saying how they feel, because we knew this is how a lot of you felt already, right? Over the last, I would say 15, 20 years, white men have been neutered, right? So they've been trained to know they can't say how they truly feel without being canceled, right? So just because, it wasn't being said that, hey, we hate black people, we knew it was always there. We knew it was always there. Okay, so no matter how many good white folk, as they say, right, who don't feel that way, we knew that the core believed it. They hate us. They hate us, right? And that's their right. I think Donald Trump. I like President Trump, and I like the fact that he's given these people boldness to say how they feel, because this is what the black community needed. Right? We needed to know the truth about how people feel about us. We are hated by everywhere. Everywhere we go, we're hated. We don't bother nobody. The only people we bother is each other. Okay? The only people we kill is each other. Right? The only places we sell dope is in our own communities. We're going to put it on the table. Right? We're gonna put it on the table because why? Everyone claims there's what? Black fatigue. Really? Black fatigue? Really? Black fatigue. Okay. Yes. Are black people doing crazy things? Absolutely. Absolutely. But there's enough blame to go around, brothers and sisters. There is enough blame to go around. And I'm going to tell you right now, we don't control society. Okay. So when you take a step back and look at society, it's not us that's controlling it. Okay, when you look at how society is today, that's not because of black folks. And we're going to put it on the table. Okay, because it's clear white people have bought in, many white people, and I don't want to say white people as a conglomerate, right? Because I know that that's not true, right? White people are not a conglomerate, right? I want to be clear on that. I know that all white people don't think alike, just like all black people. They're not a monolith. We know that, right? So we're not going to sit here and act like we think all white people think the same, like all black people think the same. Neither of us is a monolith. Neither one of us. But there's a thread that we're starting to see through social media, right? There's a level of bravado. There's a level of racial tension we're starting to feel from white people, okay, from Caucasian people. And we just want to say, hold on, man. If you're a believer, if you're a white man or a woman and you're a believer, what are you doing to stop this? What are you doing to stop this? Right? If you have some people who are racial or racist in your family and friends, what are you doing to stop this? Right? Because we don't promote hate to white people. In fact, you go back into, we did a video probably maybe 6 months ago called The New Racism. And in that video, we talked about how it's okay to be racist towards white people. The corporate media, through the Jewish people, the Jewish people, they've made it acceptable to be racist towards white men. We called that out. Okay? You will not find any other Hebrew Israelites to point that out. We pointed that out because we saw it. We thought it was wrong. But now we're seeing what? We're seeing the algorithm being played with again. We're seeing the algorithm again. We know who controls the algorithms, right? The people you can't, exactly. The people you can't speak against, those are the people controlling the algorithms on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook. And we just wanted to show the society as we know it today has not been shaped by black people, right? So if there's some blame, we're gonna show where it should be. Okay, follow us to the book of Psalms, chapter 11, in the NLT version of the Bible, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, we're here at the book of Psalms, the 11th chapter. We're going to have Brother Quran read us the 5th verse. Okay, the title of today's broadcast, Racial Fatigue. Is it black fatigue or is it white exhaustion? Which one is it? Okay, we're going to get into the Bible today, right? And we're not race baiting here, right? Because we, as the black community, know we've done wrong. And most of our videos, we're calling out the wrong done in the black community, right? And see, when you do that, right? When you call out the evil in your own community, it opens you up to be able to do what? Call out the evil in other people's community. That's how we're able to sit here and do this. Right? When we believe certain communities, whether it's the Somalis, right, or the Arabs or the whites, when we believe, hey, you're promoting a level of evil, we call it out. Why? Because we first call out our own community, right? And if you don't call out what's going on in white America, if you're white, you have no place to talk about black on black crime or anything else that's going on with us. Okay, you only get that license comes from after you take care of home. Right? Coach your team. Okay? If you know anything about sports, the coach, you don't coach the other people's team. You coach your own team. Right? That's what we like to do. We speak first to the blacks and Hispanics when we're calling out evil because that's our team. That's our racial team. Right? So we speak to them, hey, listen, cut it out, guy. Cut it out. Come back to the Most High. Right? We don't spend most of our time talking to other racial people about what they're doing wrong. Today, brothers and sisters, we want to pull out the mirror. We want to show the mirror of what's going on in popular culture, especially here in the States. Okay? We're at Psalms 11 and 5 in the NLT version of the Bible. Let's take a look.
The book of Psalms 11 and 5. The Lord examines both the righteous and the wicked. He hates those who love violence.
Read that again, brothers and sisters, please.
Psalm 11 and 5. The Lord examines both the righteous and the wicked. He hates those who love violence.
What does he do, brother?
He hates those who love violence.
Let's stop right there. Look directly at Psalm 11 and 5, because its explosive truth will completely shatter any soft, passive view of God. Take a look. Scripture declares, right? Scripture declares it with zero hesitation. The Lord strictly examines both the righteous and the wicked. See that? But read the next words closely. Those who love violence, his soul absolutely, fiercely hates. This isn't a minor dislike. The holy creator of the universe detests the spirit of brutality. Now look at the undeniable historical mirror. America has been steeped in deep violence for a very long time. From its bloody, turbulent foundations to modern street corners, the trail of aggression runs incredibly deep. Incredibly deep. Mass shootings, systemic cruelty, and constant global warfare have defined the national landscape for generations. See, we try to ignore that. We try to ignore that. White America tries to ignore that. America glorifies, brothers and sisters, America glorifies force, exports conflict, and consumes violent entertainment like a daily addiction. We are violent. Psalms 11:5 stands as a terrifying direct indictment against a culture obsessed with bloodshed. Okay, God does not overlook the innocent blood cried out from the soil of a what? Of a violent nation. How was America founded? Was it through bloodshed? See, we try to ignore that, right? And when I speak with my white brothers and sisters, and I try to show the mirror, right? Because yes, Black community, we have a lot of things that are wrong in our community, a lot, right? But so do you, okay? And what a lot of our Edomite brothers and sisters, right, our white brothers and sisters, they try to ignore history. And they just try to deal with current right now. They say, well, no, don't look back into that history, right? We just want to talk about what's going on this year. We just want to talk about what's going on now. And I say, well, hold on, you can't do that. You can't do that. You have to have some level of historical sensitivity, right? Because when we talk about America being violent and we talk about Thanksgiving Day, we talk about the natives, right? No, they don't want to talk about that. When we want to talk about where immigration started, they said, well, no, we don't want to talk about that. We just don't want to talk about these immigrants. we just want to talk about ICE, this version, right? We don't want to talk about the first immigrants that came here. We don't want to talk about that. We don't want to talk about the theft. We don't want to talk about the theft of America. We don't want to talk about that, right? We just want to talk about today. Can't do it. Can't do it. You can't shut off parts of history that don't show you in the most flattering light. You can't do it. Okay, the Almighty is completely tracking every single act of rage, abuse, and unchecked hostility, brothers and sisters. And that's a fact that cannot be denied. Okay, a nation that loves violence places itself in direct opposition to the pure heart of the living God. Okay, the warning of the bards, brothers and sisters, the warning of the prophets are flashing red right now across our cities and streets. Read that one more time, brothers and sisters, please.
Psalm 11:5. The Lord examines both the righteous and the wicked. He hates those who love violence.
Aha. This scripture is a fierce, urgent wake-up call to turn away from malice before justice falls. Do not be deceived. God strictly loathes violence, and no superpower is immune to his holy standard. None. The raw, unfiltered warning of Psalms 11:5 continues to flash like a massive strobe light over our modern world, brothers and sisters. Okay, when we hold the divine mirror up to America, the historical reality is absolutely staggering. Absolutely staggering. The nation's timeline is completely soaked in generations of aggressive expansion and systemic cruelty and bloodshed. Okay? From the historic horrors of forced native displacement to the brutal chains of slavery, the roots run incredibly deep. Okay? And the algorithms would have you believe, well, no, Black people are violent. Excuse me? Excuse me? Oh, black people are the most violent people. They're like caged animals. Really? Today, that exact same spirit of violence erupts daily through devastating mass shootings and endless domestic turmoil, brothers and sisters. America pours billions into weapons of war while glorifying raw force across every single, brothers and sisters. When you turn on television in America, that's all you see is violence. That's all you see. Okay? You go into these movies, that's all you see. America glorifies violence. We have built a massive empire on the back of aggressive dominance, and God is tracking every single drop of innocent blood, brothers and sisters. Psalms 11:5 means that a culture addicted to malice is sitting directly in the crosshairs of God's divine justice. No amount of material wealth or global superpower status can shield a society from the moral laws of the Creator. The cries of the oppressed and the victims of rage have gone straight to the ears of the Lord of God, the Lord of hosts. Okay, the God of Israel. American culture, which is sourced in white culture, is the most violent in the history of civilization. And that's a fact we can't deny. No offense, but history tells us that white men are the most violent people in the history of civilization. And America's historical timeline proves that. America, which has always been controlled by elite white men, thrive on violence. And that's a fact that cannot be denied. Okay, most Americans overlook that the US remains the only country to have dropped an atomic bomb on another country. Many Americans ignore our country's unique history of using nuclear weapons. Never forget, the United States of America dropped 2 atom bombs on the Japanese, and life for them has never been the same. White culture thrives on violence, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. Just ask the Japanese.
Every morning at 8:15, the chimes ring out across Hiroshima, marking the moment in 1945 when a U.S. bomber overhead dropped the world's first atomic weapon of war here. A signature mushroom cloud rising over wide-scale death and devastation.
The target was this bridge. It's T-shaped, but the bomb veered toward the dome, which after the blast was the only building in a 1-mile radius still standing.
Thousands were killed outright. Radioactive black rain poisoning countless more. Teruko Yahata was 8 years old that day. She says she still has the scar from being hurled by the blast. Fearing another, she huddled under a blanket with her family. I didn't really understand what it meant to die, she says, but the warmth I felt at us dying together, I still remember to this day. 3 days after Hiroshima, the U.S. unleashed a second bomb on Nagasaki, hastening Japan's surrender and ending the war at a price of nearly 250,000 lives. From the ashes, Hiroshima was rebuilt. Now a busy city of more than 1 million people. But with the number of survivors dwindling here, soon living memory of that day will be gone.
Hello, excuse me, where did you come from?
It's why since learning what his great-grandmother endured, Shun Sasaki hasn't been shy about it. Instead, twice a month, the 12-year-old has been offering free guided tours to visitors around the city's Peace Memorial Park.
Why is it important to talk about it?
So, the most scariest thing that might happen in the future is to forget what happened a long time ago.
80 years on, there are reminders here, like the chimes that ring out every morning.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Psalms 55. Okay. Psalms 55. We wanted to put it out there because God says he hates those who love violence. And I'm sorry to say it, but the white culture is the most violent culture of any race of people. And that's just the truth. That's just the truth. Think about how many wars America has been in. Think about it. Right? Just in this year, which is 2026, I think 2025 also, right? We invaded Venezuela, took their president. We've dropped bombs on Iran. Okay? We just continue. We killed Gaddafi. We went into Iraq. We went into Afghanistan. We went against the Vietnamese, the Vietnam War. We dropped bombs, atomic bombs, 2 of them, on the country of Japan. Okay? The rape and murder, the enslavement of the blacks. Right? What they did to the Native Americans. Brothers and sisters, did you know those English or Caucasian settlers, what they did was prophesied in the Bible? What they did to the Native Americans? Let us show you. It was prophesied. What they did, breaking all the treaties and all that. Take a look, brothers and sisters. And I'm putting this out here not because we hate white people. We love white people. We love all people. Okay, but if you're a believer and you're white, you're going to have to walk away from white culture. You're going to have to turn your back on white culture because it's so violent. Okay, when you look at black culture, right, we say, well, hold on, black culture is what? It's hip hop music, right? It's drug abuse, it's fatherless homes, right? We call out black culture. We call it out. We speak about it all the time on our channel. How evil black culture is. But guess what? Guess what? Your culture is no better. In fact, I would beg to say it's worse. If you are a white or Caucasian man or woman and you want to honor God, you have to walk away from white culture. We're going to show you why. Look at this prophecy concerning the Native Americans and the settlers. We're at Psalms 55, verse 20 and 21, brothers and sisters. Let's take a gander.
The book of Psalms 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Read that again, please.
Psalm 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Look at this. We remember General Custer, right? How they took down the natives, right? The American Indian Wars, right? Remember that? Right? It says what? He put his hands, the white community, right? The white culture put their hands against someone who was at peace with them. What are they talking about? Peace treaties, right? It says they broken the covenant. That's what? The treaties, the agreement. Hey, we have this land, you have that land. They broke every treaty there was. Right? It says the words of their mouth were smoother than butter. That means that, you know, the white community, they know exactly how to be gentle and how to talk. It's all right. All right, we love you guys. You guys are very important people, very special, very friendly people to allow us to come and share your land. Right? You're amazing people. You're amazing people. Right? But in their heart is war. In their heart is war, brothers and sisters. See, that tribal nations welcomed white settlers only to be met with systemic, unprovoked military aggression. The U.S. government reneged on over 300 different treaties with Native Indians, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. Okay, putting forth his hands, it says, means pretending to agree while secretly positioning for war. Settlers used treaties. Think about that. Settlers used treaties not as lasting peace documents, but as tactical pauses to build up military strength. Right? He says they're smoother than butter. Smoother than butter describes the hollow promises of colonial diplomats. Okay, they used elegant, sophisticated legal language to mask the brutality, okay, to mask the brutal reality that would soon follow. Okay, while treaty talk was smooth, war was in his heart. The goal was never shared prosperity. It was the eradication of indigenous life. Okay, tribes offered peace and survival aid. Settlers responded with unprovoked military invasion. And that's what the Bible is talking about here. The U.S. signed over 300 treaties with native nations and violated every single one. And when we say the U.S., right, we're talking about the colonizers, right? Settlers used peace treaties as stalling tactics to build up military strength. So they would say, okay, we're about to lose because there's more of them. We don't know the terrain, right? So we're going to sign this treaty, which will cause them to be at peace with us while we build up our military. Okay, elegant diplomatic language was used to mask the brutal reality of what? Of land theft. Okay, settlers promised land boundaries would last forever, then broke their word instantly. The moment gold or fertile soil was found on tribal land, the smooth talk stopped. If tribes refused, okay, think about that. If tribes refused rigged treaties, diplomatic words immediately turned into murder. Military campaigns were already planned and ready behind the cover of diplomacy. These verses expose the ultimate double cross, right? Using peace as a weapon of war. Okay, most Americans want to ignore the part of American history where they decimated the Native Americans, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. See, they don't want to go there. See, when you go there, they say, well, come on, man. Come on. Why we got to talk about that? Well, brother, you say forget the past, but you only forget the past when it shows you in a bad light. Because guess what? You celebrate Independence Day, right? July 4th, 1776. Why don't you forget history? Yeah. White Americans love Independence Day. I'm not mad at them. But then don't tell us to forget history. Okay? When you are here remembering history, you're remembering July 4th, 1776. You're remembering 9/11. Right? You ask these, the government or these leaders, these political leaders, should we forget 9/11? They say, well, absolutely not. We'll never forget 9/11. But then when it comes to the natives, we say, well, listen, man, forget about that. Right? We want to talk immigration. Right? We set up the borders. We were immigrants. We came into the land, and then we set up rules for immigration. What happened to the Native Americans? Think about it. What happened to the Native Americans was brutal genocide, and history has tried to hide this for centuries, brothers and sisters. American history often hides that the government used abusive boarding schools to forcibly strip Native children of their language and their culture, brothers and sisters. Okay, American historians cover up the government's history of using abusive boarding schools to forcibly assimilate Native children. U.S. education minimizes how government boarding schools use psychological and sexual abuse to systemically erase Native culture.
Next story tonight, for many Native people, Indian boarding schools remain a dark and hidden history. And in fact, this week was Indigenous Peoples Day, and November is Native American Heritage Month. So in other words, it's time to talk more about this and hopefully help people heal. And a warning, by the way, some of the things you're about to hear are graphic. Here's Christine Pitawanich.
In the late 1800s, Indian boarding schools could be found across the U.S. and in the Pacific Northwest. Indigenous children were taken to the schools to learn trade skills, religion, and English. In 1880, one was established in Forest Grove for Native children all over the region. 5 years later, it moved to where Chemawa Indian School is today, just north of Salem. The history of Indian boarding schools is a traumatic one, well known among many tribes.
Siamanastalacha Salkeda is my Indian name. My Christian name is Freddie Lane. I'm Clactamish. Lummi is the reservation. Clactamish are the people of the Pacific Northwest.
Ana Sanchez. I am the Director of Family Services here at NAIA, and I'm also the State Representative for House District 43.
Yeah, I'm David Lewis, a member of the Confederate Tribes of Grand Ronde and faculty at Oregon State University.
The stories and trauma associated with boarding schools have been passed down through generations by oral tradition. Many have called what happened cultural genocide.
And some kids would go in at the age of 6 and would never be seen again.
I have listened to stories from elders having this police car come and just take them all away and never seeing their parents again. They were forced to speak English. They were forced to learn Christianity.
You were beaten in some cases for, again, speaking your language. The mentality was kill the Indian, save the man. That was the government's policy.
Do you run into people who don't realize that this has happened in the United States, in Oregon?
Definitely. Again, it's something that Uncle Sam would rather not talk about.
That's because it's not easy to talk about.
Many of those children didn't make it home. There is a burial ground outside of Chemawa Indian Boarding School right now.
Pacific University researchers have documented nearly 300 students buried there. While generally sickness did spread in schools, those in the indigenous community say it wasn't just disease that killed students.
We're talking about, basically murder on the part of teachers in these schools.
The abuse that happened in those schools was immense. There was sexual abuse there. That's well documented.
The history is it's tragic.
Lane recalls a heavy conversation he had with a 75-year-old tribal chief who went to a boarding school in Canada.
These were his words. They abused me as a child, and I've never seen a chief cry. I wouldn't believe it if he didn't tell me how the priests up in Canada, they would rape the children, and the nuns would hide the pregnancy. And when the child was burned, those nuns who believed in God, in the name of God, they threw those children in the furnace. They were born and then they burned them.
White culture at its core is violent and evil, and that cannot be denied. We're not here to blame white people, but we're here to remind white people that they need to have some historical sensitivity. Okay, for years, we have had the white community telling us they don't see race, but history shows us that race is the only thing they do see. Okay, history tells us that anyone who is non-white has been the victim of the white power structure. And that's a fact that cannot be denied. See, we don't want to talk about that, right? You don't want to talk about what happened to the natives. You don't want to talk about the abuse that happened to native children. You don't want to talk about dropping bombs, atomic bombs on the Japanese, rounding them up and putting them into termination camps just because of their race. You don't want to talk about slavery and Jim Crow. See, you want to ignore all of that and then get angry with us when we bring it up, right? And then get angry with us when we bring it up. No, you have to understand us. We have the history of all of these atrocities and genocide that have come from white culture. Okay? So white culture is violent and evil at its core. And for my white brothers and sisters, you're going to have to walk away from your own culture. If you want to honor God, you can't do it with white culture. It just can't be done. It cannot be done. When you look at the true culture, right? Go to the civilizations of the past, right? The greatest white civilizations in the history of mankind was the Roman Empire, right? The Roman Empire. Go look at the Roman Empire. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. Please, brothers and sisters, we're here at Ecclesiastes in the Old Testament, chapter 7, verse 7. Okay, we're in the King James Version of the Bible. The title of today's broadcast, Racial Fatigue. Racial fatigue, brothers and sisters. We really have to talk about this, right? We're living in a time where you can't say, oh, I don't see color. I don't see race. Because if that's the case, if you don't see color and race, you don't see racism. Okay. So let's just stop with that. Just stop. Okay, if you don't see race, then you don't see racism. That means when people are being degraded because of their race, you can't recognize it because you don't recognize race. Cut it out, man. Cut it out. An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. So when I hear white people saying, well, I don't see race, everybody else does. So to me, that means if you see or hear a friend of yours, a family member spewing some rhetoric, some bigotry, some racism, you won't call it out. You won't correct it. You won't challenge it because you don't see race. You'll let that fester. Think about that. Think. We're at Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7, brothers and sisters. Let's take a look, please.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
A gift destroyeth the heart talks about bribery, right? How they bribe you, right? White culture. Look at the politics, right? Bribery. Read that one more time, brothers and sisters, please.
Ecclesiastes 7 and 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
Read that again. Instead of saying gift, say bribe.
Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a bribe destroyeth the heart.
Whoo, brothers and sisters, Ecclesiastes 7 and 7 delivers an undeniable truth. Relentless oppression drives even the wisest minds into fury. Centuries of state-sponsored cruelty naturally breeds a deep, righteous anger and total distrust. And that's what you're seeing with blacks. For generations, white government elites weaponized the law to execute brutal violence against marginalized communities. Native Americans faced systemic genocide, forced starvation, and the violent theft of their homelands. Broken treaties and blood military campaigns pushed tribal nations past the brink of human endurance. For Black Americans, the state codified the ultimate horror of chattel slavery to crush human dignity. Following slavery, Jim Crow laws unleashed decades of legalized terror, lynchings, and economic subjugation. During World War II, the government turned on its own citizens, stripping Japanese Americans of their freedom. Executive Order 9066. Executive Order 9066 forced over 120,000 innocent Japanese into bleak, barbed-wired internment camps. This relentless abuse across history wasn't accidental. It was deliberate, calculated, and a structural tyranny. This is white culture. Let's be honest. This is white culture. This is white history. When the white government constantly victimizes people, it permanently shatters the foundation of public trust. People don't trust white government. People don't trust white men. And I think you have to have some historical sensitivity to why that is. Okay? You have to have some historical sensitivity, right? Just like if a black person, or a black woman, a white woman, right, clutches her purse when, 4 or 5 young black men roll by. I'm not angry about that, right? Because of the stereotypes, because of the history, because of how they show us, right? But white people can't be angry when people don't trust them. Okay? You can't say let's wipe away all of the history of the violence we've done to everybody and then say, well, white people don't see race. Really? History says that's all you see. You cannot terrorize people for centuries and expect polite, quiet submission in return. Traumatizing generations inevitably ignites a fierce, unyielding psychological fury within the oppressed. Okay, the madness Ecclesiastes describes isn't insanity. It's a burning, justified rebellion against injustice. Deep-seated distrust becomes a vital survival mechanism when the government itself acts as the predator. Okay, and we're talking about the government here. When we speak about the white man, all right? When you hear black men say the white man this, the white man that, they're not speaking of an actual white man. They're speaking of the government, the power structure of white men. Okay, so I want to help, I want to help white people understand, right? African American colloquialisms. When we say the white man is evil, right? What we're talking about is his government. We're not speaking about every individual white man. We know every individual white man is not bad. We have white men in our church. We're speaking about the power structure, the government, right? Why? Indigenous nations have every historical right to fiercely reject federal promises and oversight. Black communities continue to battle a legal and economic systemic plan against them. Okay? Remember, brothers and sisters, exploitation. Brothers and sisters, the whole country was built on exploitation. Black communities continue to battle a legal and economic system originally built on their exploitation. Imagine this. You have a job, right? Let's say you make $27 an hour. Imagine if you had 10 of those. Imagine you had 10 of you that all worked and made $27 an hour. You see how rich you would be? That's what slavery was, right? You have 10, 15, 20 people bringing in resources for you. You don't have to pay anybody. So don't tell me slave masters and slavery wasn't about money. Japanese American survivors and their descendants carry the permanent psychological scars of wartime betrayal. Tyranny. Tyranny acts like a pressure cooker, forcing human patience into an absolute explosive breaking point, brothers and sisters. Elites hid behind high-sounding political ideas while unleashing physical and economic warfare on non-white bodies. Ecclesiastes 7:7 completely validates the anger of the oppressed as a natural, righteous human reaction. And see, white people have to recognize that. Okay, you reap what you sow. You can't sow violence to all these people and then be angry when people don't like you or don't trust you, right? When you have to earn trust, right? So for white people, you have to earn it. Because why? You earn the stereotype of being violent. Okay? And we want to talk about that. Why? True peace is impossible to maintain when the ruling class holds a smoking gun behind its back. The collective memory of these atrocities fuels a permanent, necessary skepticism of white government power. This scripture proves that the rage of the victimized was entirely manufactured by the violence of the oppressor. Okay, history shows us that when white people are the ruling class, they become violent against non-whites, and that's a fact that can't be denied. We can't deny that. For the last 65 years, the white community has been trying to convince others that they don't see race, but history tells a different story. History tells us that white culture isn't only violent, but it's also highly abusive to drugs, and everybody knows it. Think about it. When the white power structure is the ruling class, there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of drug abuse, and that's a fact we can't ignore. Many forget when President Joe Biden gave out free needles to help people get high off meth, and everyone ignored it. History shows us that when society is ruled by white governments, drug abuse is always off the charts.
The Biden administration now moving to make it easier for drug users to light up and get high on crack and crystal meth. The new program will hand out needles and pipes along with safe sex kits, reportedly to make drug use safer while promoting racial equity. Also, they want to hand out the pipes so you don't inject. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy is a Republican on the Judiciary Committee. And Senator, good morning to you. Does this work?
Bill, there almost aren't words in English. The Biden administration just keep on rocking it in the free world. I mean, every single day reality calls and the Biden administration just hangs up. I don't think when moms and dads lie down at night in America and can't sleep, they're worried about clean injection sites and sterile crack pipes. The issue, Mr. President, is crime. The issue, Mr. President, is how to stop it, not how to encourage it.
Look at the data. Predominantly white nations and communities face massive explosive rates of drug addiction. From the opioid crisis to prescription drug abuse, white demographics are hit with staggering overdose numbers. Suburban and rural white communities have been completely ravaged by statewide substance abuse epidemics. Okay, here it is. Joe Biden, all right? Joe Biden is promoting drug abuse, is promoting drug addiction. Okay? So we don't want to hear black fatigue. We don't want to hear, because then white people will overlook all this. Right? You'll overlook all of this. We don't want to hear black fatigue. Okay? Because why? The white community, right? Caucasian community, have more power and influence over society. And we all know it. That's why out of the 40, however many presidents there's been, 45, 46 of them, 45 of them have been white. Predominantly, brothers and sisters, really think about this. Predominant white culture often fuels a hidden crisis of heavy drinking and prescription pill reliance. High-income white corporate culture frequently normalizes and funds dangerous, illicit drug habits behind closed doors. The multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry heavily targeted white demographics, igniting the modern opioid firestorm. Big Pharma pushed deadly pills into white working-class towns, triggering waves of generational addiction, brothers and sisters. Okay? While minority communities were historically criminalized for drugs, white drug abuse was long treated as a quiet medical issue, right? on the hush hush. Shh. This cultural double standard masks the sheer scale of addiction spreading through white families. Systemic isolation, mental health stigmas, and cultural pressures in white communities drive millions to self-medicate. The numbers don't lie. White youth consistently report high rates of early drug experimentation. They experiment from a very young age, brothers and sisters. Okay, and it starts off with what are those medicines? That ADHD medicine. I spoke with a brother, and he told me, my mom got me a Ritalin, right? I don't know if they got a new name for it, but he says when I'm 8, 9, my mom puts me on Ritalin, and he says it started me on a path that I was used to taking pills. At a young age, I was used to taking pills, and it led me down a dark, lonely path of drug abuse. And I said, brother, you got to teach that. You got to go out and speak to parents about this, because you wouldn't believe how many white kids, young white boys, are on that medication, that ADHD medicine, which is really, I think, meth, right? I believe that's what it is, or speed, excuse me. It's speed, it's an upper.
Yeah.
Okay, and they get addicted to that. And that's important to say. Okay, that's important to say. Methamphetamine and fentanyl have torn through predominantly white rural areas with absolute devastating speed. Okay, so that's the culture behind white people. And when we tell our white brothers and sisters, if you want to honor God and want to make it into heaven, you have to walk away from white culture, because it's violent and it lacks sobriety. Cultural wealth doesn't insulate people. Affluent white suburbs are major hubs for lethal recreational drug use. To solve the global drug epidemic, we must confront the massive reality of substance abuse within white society. Unfortunately, white culture highly promotes drug abuse, and that's a fact we can't deny. Because white culture is what America is founded on, think about it. Think about that. Because white culture is what America is founded on, drug abuse is common in our country. We're not here to blame white people. Let me be clear. We're not here to blame our white brothers and sisters. We're here to say, open your eyes to your own contributions to where we are in society today. Open your eyes, my Caucasian brothers and sisters. You shouldn't be ashamed to be white. I don't believe in that. Cut it out. We never promote that. But you also can't ignore the contributions of your people, right? The same way we can't in the Black community. Any society ruled by white culture, it's not a fun, it's not a fun community, okay? Why? Why, brothers and sisters? Drug abuse problems push their societies forward. Okay? Any society ruled by white culture, it is not a fun culture. Why? Drug abuse, violence, sexual abuse, all come from white civilization. Okay? White culture has a love affair with illicit drugs, and we have to discuss that today. Okay, most people forgot that many US cities launched a needle exchange program allowing people to trade used syringes for free sterile ones. Major American cities opened free needle exchanges to swap dirty syringes for clean ones, and that's a fact that cannot be denied.
Browsing, borrowing, and now battling addiction.
My first question is, who thought this was a good idea?
Chris Rogers is a Land Park community advocate outraged over a new Sacramento Public Library program allowing for needle exchanges in a mobile RV in several library branch parking lots.
They're not just going to take things, walk out and leave. They may hang around the library on the outside and shoot up or do whatever they want. And we don't have the city resources to manage that kind of thing.
The Sacramento Public Library launched the pilot program at 2 branches, Valley High and Southgate, earlier this year. The Harm Reduction Services RV arrives on the library parking lots for 45 minutes on set days every other week.
So if there is needle exchanges happening, it's actually behind a closed door outside of our buildings.
Todd Deck is the Sacramento Public Library Community Engagement Manager and launched the program, which also includes informational outreach for harm reduction inside some library branches as well.
Once Sacramento started actually taking a harm reduction approach, less people were dying. That's important to us for a healthy, safe community.
The most recent data from Sacramento County shows a 56% reduction in fentanyl-related deaths between 2023 and 2024. DEC launched the harm reduction program in libraries to be part of that solution.
We are meeting a community need that really does need it.
Well, that tells me that compassion and common sense have gone in different directions with the library.
A community clash over needle exchanges in Sacramento.
Yeah, but I don't have my feet called.
I don't know what you want to do with these.
Go ahead and just drop them right
Like this?
there, right on top. And then you're all set. Oh, alcohol wipes. You want a couple? Sure. Okay, just before, never after. Right. Okay, thank you very much. You're welcome. Have a good day.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Isaiah 5 and 13. Right? Isaiah 5 and 13. Right? Because what we wanted to show, brothers and sisters, that where we are in these racially tense times, it was prophesied in the Bible. Right. And we're not here to blame white people for everything that's going wrong on the earth. But what we're saying is have some historical sensitivity, please. OK, the hypocrisy of black fatigue, the hypocrisy of the usual suspects jokes. It's straight up hypocrisy, knowing the past history that your people have. Right. And I can say this in truth and in love and still love and, respect white people. I have white people who I love and respect in our church that I have baptized, that I have taught lessons with. That's not going to change because we're giving you this truth. Those brothers also know, listen, brother, you got to turn away from white culture. It's evil at its core. I'm sorry. Right? White culture is evil. How do you know? Go look at white culture. Go back to the Roman Empire. The most powerful civilization in the history of mankind was a white civilization, and it was called the Roman Empire. Okay, go look at that. Okay, yes, we know we have fault. We know we have our own issues. Okay, we're at Isaiah 5 and 13. Let's talk about the black man, the black community for a moment. Let's talk about it, right? Black fatigue, huh? We're at Isaiah 5 and 13. Let's take a gander, brothers and sisters. Please.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 13. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
Read that again, brothers and sisters, please.
Isaiah 5 and 13. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
Brothers and sisters, the Bible tells us those who were enslaved, right? Those who were enslaved are who? Right? Think about the greatest slavery, right, in sheer numbers in the history of mankind. The transatlantic slave trade, 99 million blacks ripped away from their homeland, forced into a new country to learn a new tongue, to work for free. That was prophesied in the Bible for the Jews. See that? He says, my people, right? My people is who? The Israelites, the Jews. My people are gone into captivity. Why? Why? Because they have no knowledge. They have no knowledge. Right here, the Bible states that the ethnic Jews of the Bible would face enslavement. Notice here, the Bible predicted a future enslavement for the ethnic Jews in these texts. In this passage, the verse foretold the oppression and loss of freedom for God's quote unquote chosen people. Right? And when we say God's chosen people, we don't mean it how the Jewish people mean it. We mean God chose us to bring forth the gospel. God chose us to be an example. God chose us to help people get closer to him. That's what we were chosen to do. Right here, Isaiah describes how rejecting God's wisdom led to the enslavement of Black people by Europeans. Okay, this passage contains a message that elites want to hide from the Black community. Read that one more time, brother, please.
Isaiah 5:13. Therefore, my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and the honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst.
See that? The text suggests our history of enslavement proves our identity as the biblical Jews. Right? Think about that. The Bible indicates that slavery would serve as a defining characteristic of the ethnic Jews. The elites have spent vast amounts of money to hide the truth of this passage from Black people, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. Okay, the Bible prophesied the brutal form of slavery that Black people endured. The government and brothers and sisters, the government and established churches actively suppress this undeniable truth. If society realized that enslaved Blacks are the biblical Jews, the current world order would collapse. Nobody knows who we are. They think we're just some Black people who live without fathers in the home, who deal with the promotion of drug abuse and sexual immorality, drug dealers. By hiding our identity, this identity, the government has led the Black community towards systemic dysfunction. You want to know why we are the way we are? It's because you hid this verse from us. You want to know why Black people are terrorizing each other, why we make music about murdering each other, why we think it's a good thing to have multiple baby mamas, multiple children by multiple women, why we think twerking is the greatest thing a woman could do. Why is that? It's because of this verse. They hid this verse from us. Okay, global racism against Black people fuels the deliberate cover-up of this truth. There's other people, brothers and sisters. The history knows. The governments know. They know who we are. And they hid this from us. So don't tell me Black fatigue when you created Black fatigue. You told us we were Black. You told us we were Negro. And yes, when you're a slave, guess what? Your master, your owner tells you who you are. Is that hard to believe? And see, I know white people have never thought deeply about what slavery means and what the effects of it are. If you were a slave, I really want you to take your time here, okay? My white brothers and sisters, if you were a slave, I know you've never thought about being a slave, but if you were a slave, do you think your owner would tell you who you are? Or does a slave believe whatever he's told? Yeah, exactly. A slave will believe whatever he's told because he has no option. Okay, and we have to put it out there. The Black community struggles today because the federal government and education system hid our true identity. Scripture directly foretold the brutal reality of slavery. If we knew this, we would be somebody else. Political and religious institutions fight to keep this truth hidden. This is a fact we cannot deny, brothers and sisters. Revealing that Black people are the true ethnic Jews of the Bible would shatter society as we know it. As we know it. Think about that, brothers and sisters. The federal government and the education systems caused today's Black community crisis by erasing our biblical identity. They told us we were somebody else. Consider that, brothers and sisters. We have to be honest here. Because the white power structure has intentionally hid the truth of our identity, we have become the thugs and criminals you see today.
I'm tired of them again. Come on, man. It's tired of them. Sunday night, RP gutter.
I gave this to the block. This to the only Clay and Cool, man. That's our heart. Better not play with their names.
Word for the churches came around here, and it was rumored that 600 Breezy was GD from this hood. We definitely seen you popped out to the graduation. You had your stick on you all that.
I would have walked out my graduation, got my little ass faced. I would have been the new Tuka, because I dissed everybody.
My little brother, he really from Chatham, born and raised. He not from nowhere else. Stop all the cap, trying to make it like he created. He's really from Chatham. This is from Indiana, claiming 79 from Maryland, but from Indiana. I remember you told me I'm gonna make them words, I never forget. I ain't made a chat, I'm in the trench and I still ride this state. So I know they wanna see me dead, grandma. Hey, so I just keep one in their head.
Non-Blacks who complain about Black fatigue will only see it increase because they've helped hide our true identity. Okay, the federal government hid our identity because they prefer Black people to remain in a state of ignorance and dependency. Okay, if Black men knew we were the Jews of the Bible, we would naturally align ourselves and our lives with Scripture. Okay, it's an undeniable fact that knowing our true identity would compel us to live exactly as the Bible commands. Satan used the white power structure to hide this truth, knowing that discovering our identity would transform us from the inside out. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to Quran. Okay, the world would rather Blacks to be thugs. Okay, they would rather us be thugs and criminals rather than to be God's battle axe, and everybody knows it. In biblical times, we were the enforcers of God's law, and ancient history has that proof. Okay, all the ancient civilizations of the past know the truth about our identity, but they won't speak up. The earth has become evil because we, as the ethnic Israelites, the ethnic Jews, are not living in our God-given purpose. Okay, the rest of the world who wants to live in evil don't want the Black community enforcing the standards of God. And that's a truth we can't overlook. When the Black community knew we were the Jews, we attempted to compel all races of people to live like the God of the Bible said to. The rest of the world don't want the Black community standing up for the Bible, and that's the truth everybody wants to hide. History has the truth of what the world was like when Black Americans knew they were the Jews of the Bible. Satan would rather us be ignorant and give more than, excuse me, I got tongue tied. The earth has become evil because we, the ethnic Jews, are not living in our God-given purpose. The rest of the world wants to live in sin. They want to live in evil, and they don't want the Black community enforcing the standards of God. And that's a fact that cannot be denied. Okay, when the Black community knew we were the Jews, we attempted to compel all races of people to live like the God of the Bible instructed us to. Okay, the rest of the world don't want the Black community standing up for the Bible. And that's a truth everybody wants to hide. History has the truth of what the world was like when Black Americans knew they were the Jews in the Bible. Okay, Satan would rather us remain ignorant and evil than to be representatives for God on earth. If Black men in America knew we were the ethnic Jews, this is what life would look like for everyone else, and they know it.
Okay, now, where is Passover found at?
Passover is founded in Egypt but ends in the land of
Passover
Israel.
is found in the Torah. It's
Obviously.
in the Torah.
Well,
okay,
obviously,
all right.
but I'm talking about location.
So, okay, but the Passover is in the Torah, the celebration of it, how to keep it and everything, right? It's in the Torah. Now, in the Torah, what does it say about homosexuality?
Well, I have a question. In the Torah, it also says that if your woman has another man before you, you should stone her. Are you going to stone your woman if she's ever been with another man before
Joseph, what does the Torah say about being a homosexual? What does it say?
It says it's wrong.
It's wrong. So hold on, I have a question. You're asking us about do we keep the Passover, but then when he asked you about homosexuality, you said you don't have a problem with it. So hold on. You asked us do we celebrate the Passover to try to see if we were legitimate or not.
No,
So
I
hold
asked
on a
to see
second.
why.
Joseph, you asked, we do celebrate
I'll
it.
listen.
We're in the week of unleavened bread right now. We do celebrate it, all right? My point to you is how can you question us about whether or not we celebrate Passover when in the Torah it says being a homosexual is a wicked and abomination to the Most High God? But you want to ask us about our legitimacy. How can we even believe that you're a Jew when you don't have a problem with homosexuality? So what you're telling me, Joseph, is that you don't even believe in the Torah that you question us about.
I believe in the Torah, but I also believe that you need to let people be themselves.
That's not what God says in the Torah.
Well, how long ago was the Torah written?
So you don't believe in it?
How long ago was the Torah written?
So what you're telling me is when you say
I fully believe it.
The Torah was 6,000 years ago.
I have a question. Do you eat unleavened bread?
Yes, we eat it every day.
Unleavened bread?
What are we supposed to eat during the week of unleavened bread?
I said I can eat unleavened bread.
Yes, every day.
Good job. Thank you.
But hold on, I can't tell you good job, Joseph, because you think homosexuality is okay and you claim to be a Jew. And you claim to follow Torah. What you are is an abomination to the Most High God that you claim to serve. That's what you are. Yes, we don't believe in homosexuality, and we eat unleavened bread, and we keep Passover, and we keep the Feast of First Fruits, and we keep the Day of Atonement. But you, who claim to be a Jew, love and don't have a problem with homosexuals. You are not with God, and God is not with you.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Revelations chapter 2, verse 9. See that? They don't want that version of Black men, right? The version of Black men that tell you to your face, you're sinning against God. They don't want that version of us. But see, that's what would happen. If they taught us that we were the true Jews, the same history they taught us Black History Month, right? If they would have taught that Black History Month, that Moses was us, Paul was us, guess what? That version, that fervor that you saw on that brother talking to that Jewish man, we would all be that way. We would all, many of us, I won't say all because I don't want to speak in, I have to be general here. But most of our people would live just like that, where we stand up against evil and promote everybody coming into the way of the Lord. They don't want that. No other race wants that. They want to be able to do whatever they want to do without Black people trying to tell them what's right. They don't want that. See that? So you get the option of us as thugs and criminals, smoking weed, drinking lean, or you get this version of us where we're correcting you on the ways of the Lord. See, there's no in between with us. Okay? You get the extreme one way or the extreme the other way. There's no in between. Okay? And we just have to put it out there. Right? We're at Revelations chapter 2, verse 9 and 10. We're in the King James Version of the Bible. Let's take a look, please.
The book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them, which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
Read verse 9 again, brother, please.
Revelation 2 and 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not,
He
but are
said
the
he knows what,
synagogue,
brother?
say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
Read verse 10 also, brother, please.
Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
In these passages, God warns us about the existence of imposters who assert they are the Jews of ancient times. Okay. In the concluding book of the Bible, God cautions us that there will be imposters claiming to be the ancient Jews. Brothers and sisters, the tiny hats are they're not the Jews from the Bible. Right? The Bible explicitly states that those who identify as Jewish are not the chosen people of God. Period. They hate God. They hate Christ. They're not the same people. Okay? The passage indicates that the genuine Jews would experience poverty rather than wealth. He says, I know the works, right, and tribulation and poverty of the true Jews. So the true Jews would have an impoverished life, right? They would go through tribulation, slavery, anybody? Jim Crow, anybody? Right? So the Lord is telling you the true Jews wouldn't be wealthy. When you think of the tiny hats, you don't think about poverty. You think everything but poverty, right? See that? Think about that. The reason Jewish occultists have appropriated the identity of the biblical Jews is to engage in satanic acts without facing any backlash. If you study those tiny hats, they do so much evil, from putting their lips on the baby's penis of a newborn, right? They do that, right? They do it. Look it up. This is a part of their culture. They believe that you can sexually abuse anyone under the age of 3, and it's not a sin. Okay, so we want to put it out there. The Bible says the people who worship in synagogues are worshiping Satan in those synagogues. That's what the text says. I know the bold-faced lie of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are who? The synagogue of Satan. See? So this religious sect has utilized the identity of the true Jews to protect themselves from any form of criticism. Okay, you are prohibited from voicing any criticisms of Jewish people, or you will be labeled an anti-Semite. Okay, here we notice that the Bible suggests that those who practice their faith in synagogues are in league with Satan, brothers and sisters. Okay. Think about that. Think about it. Dive deep into the text. The Bible reveals the true identity of the ethnic Jews through the prophecy of mass incarceration. Notice what he says there, right? Read verse 10 one more time, brothers and sisters, please.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life.
The Bible reveals the true identity of the ethnic Jews through the prophecy of mass incarceration. Notice what he says, the devil shall cast some of you into prison. What does he mean by that? The devil will do it. He's saying the people that the devil control, the tiny hats, who own the privately owned prisons, who who own the record labels that promote the criminal music. All right, look at the numbers. It's an undeniable fact that prisons are disproportionately filled with Black men. These powerful passages give us the ultimate blueprint to identify the true ethnic Jews. Okay, the white power structure built an environment that corrupted the Black community, and we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that, right? Before integration, Black people were much better. Go study the history. Go study the history of the Black community in the 60s, in the 70s, before all this integration and all that. Okay, we became what we are today through integration, right? Let's face the hard truth. Integration caused things to take a massive downturn for the Black community. Compare the Black community of the 1950s and 60s to today. The contrast is absolutely staggering. Historically, mainstream white culture has celebrated violence, drugs, and sex, and it completely rubbed off on Black society. Okay, the Bible exposes the ultimate trap. Satan actively engineered an environment designed to funnel Black youth straight into prison. What do we mean by that? In verse 9, he talks about the tribulation and poverty. When you're in poverty, what does it lead to? Crime. See that? It leads to crime. And when you commit a crime, where do you go? Prison. The Black community's moral shift didn't happen in a vacuum. It was driven directly by the white power structure. Don't believe the screen, brothers and sisters. Corporate TV brainwashes the world to think Black men are the most violent, but it's a total lie. The Black community learned violence from its older brother, the so-called white man. All right, study the history books. Past white power structures rank as the most violent regimes in human history. Remember, most people totally ignore the New York State prison cover-up. Never forget the 10 gang members who infiltrated the correctional officer ranks and executed a Black man to keep their prison control a secret.
Disturbing and graphic details have been released in how Mid-State Correctional inmate Messiah Nantwi died on March 1st. This as 10 corrections officers from both Mid-State and Marcy Correctional facilities are indicted and face a judge in Oneida County Court for the first time. It is your top story tonight. First, let's break down the top charges for each defendant. Charged with murder, manslaughter, gang assault, and more are Caleb Blair and Jonah Levi. Manslaughter, gang assault, conspiracy, and more, Thomas Eck, Craig Klemick, Daniel Berger, Francis Chandler, and David Ferrone. Charged with conspiracy, Nicholas Vitale. Tampering with physical evidence, Daniel Slauson. And offering a false instrument for filing, Michael Efert. News Channel 2's Jolene Ferris was in court for today's proceedings. She has the graphic details from the indictment, how Messiah Nantwi died, and how some of the corrections officers charged in his death are accused of trying to cover it up.
The ones who used to hold the keys wore the cuffs into Oneida County Court Wednesday, charged with crimes ranging from manslaughter and murder. Not an intentional murder, but a murder so depraved and so wanton and disregarding of human life that New York law allows it to rise to the level of intentional murder. To gang assault and conspiracy. On the following morning, at a diner called Raspberries in Oneida County, all of the co-conspirators met and agreed to continue with the story that everything they did was completely proper. The special prosecutor says 10:55 a.m. March 1st, Mid-State Correctional Facility inmate Messiah Nantwi was fine, and by 10:58, a radio call was made for backup and a CERT team response. Some of the 10 officers charged in Mid-State Correctional Facility inmate Messiah Nantwi's death are accused of beating him with their fists, boots, and batons in the head, delivering 69 blows to his body alone, continuing the assault in a stairwell on the way to the infirmary and dumping the 22-year-old in a holding cell in the infirmary and continuing the assault there with a conscious effort to cover it up.
Every time we turn around, we're seeing white men brutalize black men, and it's something we have to address. In the black community, we don't bother white people. We keep our killings and criminality in our own neighborhoods. Let's be honest here. Historically, white men have this, brothers and sisters, let's really consider this, okay? Really think about this. Historically, white men have displayed a proneness for violence, a reality that is evident to all. Examining the past actions of powerful white civilizations reveals a pattern of unparalleled brutality, brothers and sisters. Think about this. We are presenting this information to highlight that white men bear a significant responsibility for the current state of the world. Okay, while social media often portrays black men as symbols of immorality, it is important to recognize that culpability is widespread. Okay, the current global leadership is largely composed of white men, from whom we have inherited a legacy of immorality. Okay, historically, white men have demonstrated a notable tendency towards violence, a truth universally acknowledged, brothers and sisters. Analyzing the conduct of ancient white-dominated civilizations of the past, it uncovers a consistent pattern of extraordinary brutality, brothers and sisters. White men are the most violent men in the history of civilization, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. We're not claiming all white men are violent, but there is an accepted culture of brutality when white men get together, and that's a fact we can no longer ignore. People totally overlooked the 6 Caucasian correction officers at Marcy Prison who were just indicted for the murder of a handcuffed inmate, Robert Brooks.
This isn't in New York City, this is in New York State, but live picture there over New York City Harbor there in Lady Liberty. What I want to do now, because we heard from New York Attorney General Letitia James, also from Governor Kathy Hochul, James releasing footage from the investigation into the death of Robert Brooks here. I want to put this tweet up. This is from our colleague there at Fox 5 New York, Linda Schmidt, with body camera footage there. Now remember, viewer discretion is advised. She says, upstate prisoner beaten to death. Correction officers' body cam videos were released today by Letitia James in the death of Robert Brooks at the Marcy Correctional Facility. And Hochul has issued a statement as well. It says 14 people will be fired over this. So this is an ongoing investigation into the death of Robert Brooks. He died December the 10th of this year after an encounter with New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision officers. This was at Marcy Correctional Facility in Marcy, New York. That's in Oneida County. Now, the day before, on December the 9th, Brooks was transferred from Mohawk Correctional Facility to Marcy Correctional Facility. Those are both in the same county, Oneida County, according to James. Brooks, she says, who was handcuffed with his hands behind his back, was then taken into a medical examination room where the events captured in the video took place here. So remember, we want to bring you some of this body camera video. Viewer discretion is advised. Let's take some of that. And there is Brooks there after being transferred from one facility to another. You are going to see the actions, and it's very difficult to watch. It's graphic. Officers there appearing to beat Brooks there. All right, so if you're just joining us for this story, this is what we know. This body-worn camera released by Attorney General Tish James's office that appears to show members of the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision officers there at Marcy Correctional Facility beating Robert Brooks. Brooks was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. He was then taken to a medical examination room there where the events captured in the video took place, she says.
History tells us that white men in groups are prone to get violent. And that's a fact we can't ignore, brothers and sisters. Okay, we're not here to condemn all white men, but we are here to talk about a culture that exists amongst Caucasian men. And guess what? You know who knows how you know how violent white men are? White women. White women. All right. In order to fully understand white culture, you have to look into the great white civilizations of the past, and we're going to do that. Okay, if you know anything about white civilizations of the past, they are the most powerful empires in history. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about that today. When you study the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, the most powerful empires in the history of mankind, right? We show respect where it's due. There were no empires greater or more powerful than the Roman Empire, which was obviously white. Okay? When you want to learn white culture, you go back to learn it there. Okay? Follows to Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Brothers and sisters, we're here at Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verse 9. Right? You want to know why we say study the ancient European, the ancient Caucasian empires of the past to know what's going on today? It's because of this verse. Let's take a look.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new.
Read that again, brothers and sisters, please.
Ecclesiastes 1 and 9. History merely repeats itself. It has all been done before. Nothing under the sun is truly new.
Aha. Ecclesiastes 1 and 9 is God's time machine. Study what happened yesterday to know what happens tomorrow. All right, the Bible gave us the ultimate spoiler alert. The future isn't a mystery. It's just a repeat, brothers and sisters. Okay? Want to ace the test of life? Study the past. The playbook for the future has already been written. Okay, history doesn't have plot twists. It's a loop. Learn the cycle to stay ahead of the game. Okay, you can't build a future if you don't study the blueprint of the past, brothers and sisters. Today's news isn't breaking. It's a rerun. Study the original broadcast to understand the noise. You don't need a psychic, brothers and sisters. You need a history book. The Bible says that the future is already on record. Okay, strip away the technology and the clothes. And today's society is playing the exact same track. Knowledge of the past is the master key that unlocks every locked door of the future, brothers and sisters. Each generation thinks it's original. But verse 9 proves we are all running the same lap. See that? This is why we're going to study the ancient white civilizations of the past, because God says if you want to know what's going on today and why it's going this way today amongst white culture, you have to study the white cultures of the past. All right? You can't prepare for tomorrow if you're ignorant of yesterday. Study the roots, brothers and sisters. Wisdom isn't guessing the future. It's remembering the past and applying it to now. Okay, stop looking for new answers. The answers were discovered thousands of years ago. Okay, the Bible said it plain and simple. Plain and simple. To master the now and rule the next, you must know the past. Okay, the Bible says nothing is new. Nothing new means today's Western world is running ancient European code. If you think today is original, Western society is just a high budget remake of the Roman Empire. Right? Today's Western cultural, think about it. Today's Western cultural drama was written centuries ago by European ancestors. To understand the fruit of modern culture, look at its ancient roots, brothers and sisters. You want to know where the West is going? See where Rome already went. From sports arenas to city grids, the West is using ancient layouts, brothers and sisters. Ecclesiastes 1:9 is the cheat code. Past civilizations explain present societies. Ancient European empires set the trends, okay? They set the trends the modern West still follows. Okay, look closely at modern society. You're just seeing the reflection of ancient history, right? Human nature doesn't change, right? The America, brothers and sisters, think about this. Think about this. Human nature doesn't change. America is just repeating its ancestral patterns. Ancient empires set societal trends that we're following still today. Okay, when we tell our white brothers and sisters, you have to turn away from white culture, God wants you to walk away from it. Just because something is your culture doesn't make it right. Okay, look closely at the present. You're seeing the reflection of ancient history. Okay, the culture you see in America today comes from the greatest white civilizations of the past, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. Homosexuality and pedophilia is common in America because it was always common among white European civilizations of the past. In ancient Greece and ancient Rome, homosexuality and pedophilia was accepted, and this is something the world tries to ignore.
Did you know that Julius Caesar engaged in homosexual activity? The Roman Empire was one of the most powerful forces the world has ever seen. It gave history emperors like Marcus Aurelius and Antoninus Pius, who were virtuous and wise. Others, like Caligula, Commodus, and Caracalla, were monstrous, insane predators whose thirst for blood and sexual habits were beyond believable. We know so much about them because ancient historians such as Suetonius, Lucius Cassius Dio, and Pliny kept a very detailed record of everyday life and habits of these imperial superstars. Same-sex activity with slaves was quite common, granted that the owner, especially one in the public eye, played an active role. However, it should be noted that laws regarding what goes on behind closed doors are next to impossible to implement. If someone were somehow caught once in a while, his family name would bear the shame. However, this was rare. The Roman society had its fair share of slaves, and since freeborn citizens could not be passive, it was easy to find slaves who could be. The masters could do whatever they wanted to the slaves, whether it be violent or sexual. Since they were their properties, nobody could raise questions about the slave's age or gender. Many older men were, in fact, expected to keep a teenage boy to keep them satisfied. Sometimes, the young boys in this role would even be castrated to keep them docile and passive. Since Roman society was so concerned about maintaining the status quo, the social status of the sexual partner mattered more than the person's age or sexuality. In a case of this nature, Emperor Nero was said to have married a young male. He then had the man castrated to preserve his youthful qualities. Nero married 3 women and 2 men in public ceremonies. Marriage between individuals of similar sex was never truly recognized under Roman law, but that does not mean it did not happen. For instance, we know that another ruler, Aurelius Antoninus Augustus, married a male athlete in a public ceremony. Many rulers of the Roman Empire have a history of keeping young boys to feed their sexual appetites. For instance, Emperor Tiberius had a villa on the island of Capri. Numerous depictions of homosexual and heterosexual acts have been painted of him. The building became a resort for royal events of sexual nature, whether homosexual or heterosexual. His adopted son, Caligula, is also notorious for similar parties. The most famous example is probably that of Emperor Hadrian, who kept a 13-year-old boy named Antinous. The emperor engaged in a sexual relationship with the teenager until his death.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Hebrews chapter 12, verse 16 in the NLT. Why? The Bible tells us if you want to understand why European culture is so sexually immoral, you have to go to the past, right? We went to the greatest empire in the history of mankind that was controlled by Caucasians, the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire is the most powerful empire in the history of mankind. And that's a fact that cannot be denied, right? And we wanted to go back to their culture to see, why is it so sexually immoral today? Right? Why is pedophilia so common amongst white people, amongst white culture, amongst white countries? Why? Brothers and sisters, it was always accepted. Pedophilia was always accepted amongst Caucasians. That's the history of it. And I don't mean that to try to slander white people. I really don't. But it's the truth. You study the history. Go study, was pedophilia looked down on in the ancient Roman Empire? And you'll find out it wasn't. Okay? You will find out it was not. Right? All of those Caesars that were, wrestling men. Okay? So we just wanted to show you in the Bible, the first white man's name was Esau. Esau, right? Red means red. Esau or Edom means red, right? When you look at the white people, because there's no such thing as white man, right? They're really pink, right? Their blood show forth through their skin, right? If you smack them on the hand, they turn red, right? Or they get angry or embarrassed, they turn red, right? That's Esau, right? Esau, remember, was the oldest son of Isaac, right? And he was the big brother of Jacob or Israel, who's, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. Okay. So we wanted to show you Esau. The Bible tells us something about Esau's way of thinking, about Esau's culture. And I really need my white brothers and sisters to get a load of this. Because when we tell you, if you want to honor God, you have to walk away from what has become white culture. This is what we mean. Take a look, please.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 12, verse 16 in the NLT. Make sure that no one is immoral or godless like Esau, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal.
Read that again, brothers and sisters, please.
Make sure that no one is immoral or godless like Esau, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal.
Remember, Esau gave his birthright to his brother Jacob for some porridge, right? Some porridge, some stew, right? Think about that. Go study Esau, especially for my white brothers and sisters, right? In order to know your history, in order to know what culture is seated in you, you have to go back to Esau. Okay? Of course, we're going to show our white brothers and sisters their history in the Bible. Esau is the father of the Edomites. White people are called Edomites in the Bible. Okay? Historians and scripture agree. Esau, son of Isaac, stands as the ancient patriarch of the Caucasian line. Okay, the definitive command. Think about it. God commands. Examine this, right? God commands is roaring through time. He says, adopt the lifestyle. Look at this. This is a command. Never adopt the lifestyle or copy the culture of Esau. Look at this. The Bible fires a direct warning to Caucasian believers about the godless traits of their founding father. Okay, scripture pulls back the curtain, exposing an ancient heritage rooted in the rebellion and instant gratification. God explicitly maps out the past. So what, brothers and sisters? So modern believers can break the cycle of ancestral mistakes. And we're speaking to our white brothers and sisters here. Look at the history books. The philosophies of godlessness and doubt were forged by Caucasian thinkers. Look at this. He says there was no one more sexually immoral, that's what that means, or godless. Brothers and sisters, where do you think atheism came from? Who created atheism? That was white men, again, right? When you go into anywhere else in the world, they all believe in God. They believe in multiple gods. It was Plato. It was Homer. It was these guys that came up with the Big Bang Theory. It was Darwin, right? It was these guys who said there may not be a God or there is no God, right? Go look at who created the satanic religion, the religion of Satan. Who wrote the satanic Bible? Anton LaVey, white guy, Jewish guy, of course, right? See that? So that's the white community that came up with God isn't real. There's no God. And you just have to be open to that. You have to humble yourself, my white brothers and sisters. Humble yourself, Caucasians. The truth is the truth. The only thing you have to do is turn away from that culture. And I know it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard because everyone around you is embracing it. But this is what it requires to serve God, is to turn away from the evil of your forefathers. From the Big Bang Theory to absolute atheism, Caucasian intellectuals led the charge away from the Creator. Okay? Ancient Caucasian philosophers built systems designed to push God out of the equation entirely. Right? From ancient times to modern media, the push for sexual lawlessness has been a dominant Western culture. And guess where it came from? It came from European culture. God is demanding a total spiritual revolution from Caucasian believers. He's telling you to shatter the old ancestral mold today. Reject the godless theories of the past and anchor your mind in the absolute truth of the living God. This is a high voltage command for Caucasian believers to make a radical U-turn away from their cultural norms. True faith means having the courage to look at your heritage and say, I choose a different path. I choose a different path. God isn't whispering here. He's shouting to Caucasian believers to drop the vices of Esau and wake up. Okay, Esau lived for his immediate desires. Caucasian believers must live to conquer their flesh. Okay, leave the godless culture behind. Reject the legacy of Esau and claim your true spiritual inheritance, my brothers and sisters. Okay, scholars of antiquity know that major European empires openly incorporated practices like homosexuality and pedophilia into their culture. Remember, Joe Rogan sparked a massive debate by blasting the dark truth about sexual corruption in ancient European civilizations. The mainstream completely turned a blind eye when high-profile commentator and podcaster Joe Rogan called out the dark sexual practices of European civilizations.
This last year, I went to Greece for the first time.
Ooh, where'd you go?
We went to a bunch of the islands.
Beautiful.
We went to Delos. We went to
go to the temple.
Yeah, we went to all that stuff.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man, it was fascinating. It's so interesting being in the ruins of a place where these people thrived here 2,500 years ago.
It's fucking wild.
It's wild.
And that's what I love about even though it's the thing everybody knows about, go to the Parthenon and go into that neighborhood where it's like, you go over those cobblestones, you're like, some fucking guy, some like 4'8" Athenian was fucking just going up these steps, fucking fetching water, just having a
Yep.
shitty day, annoyed at his fucking girlfriend, you know what I mean?
Leather sandals on.
Yeah, leather sandals on. He's running late to his tutoring session / getting molested appointment. You know? Some children are like, oh, I better get these fucking formulas right, or he is gonna have his way with me this time.
Yeah, not only was pedophilia okay, but it was openly discussed.
Yeah, it's
Like,
crazy.
they had boy lovers.
Yep. You were made fun of if you continued to get fucked in the ass past adolescence.
Really?
Yeah. They were. There's
Oh,
like,
you silly boy.
Yeah, it's like, what are you? You're being a fucking little kid.
What, you being a homo?
Yeah, you're being childish getting fucked in the ass.
Is that true?
Dude, I swear.
Is that documented?
Now it's documented. I read it somewhere 8 years ago, maybe,
Good
and I've been
enough.
repeating
Let's
it. I've been
repeat it.
repeating it.
Let's repeat
I
it
might have told it
everywhere.
to you the last time I was on.
That is so insane, though.
Yeah.
But like, if you go back and like read in history, like Socrates.
Oh,
and
yeah.
How many of these guys had boy lovers?
Probably all of them. Probably.
God.
It's fucked up.
What year do people realize that's terrible?
Like 20 years ago.
It's probably about 20 years ago.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Leviticus 20 and 13. The title of today's broadcast, Racial Fatigue. Right? We hear this black fatigue phenomenon. You're seeing it everywhere, where the algorithms want to show black people as the epitome of evil. Right? And have we done evil? Absolutely. Do we do evil? Absolutely. But when we look at society, society isn't controlled by black people. Society is controlled by white men. Okay, so when you look at society, who's to blame? Who's to blame for where we are in society where people think they can change their gender? Well, the white conglomerate, the white elites, right? And we have to put that out there, right? Because we need white people to be more humble. We're sensing a lot of pride that ought not to be there. Humble yourselves, my brothers and sisters. Humble yourselves. There's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do. Okay, and here it was, Joe Rogan is admitting, right? Him and his guests, they knew pedophilia was accepted amongst ancient civilizations of Europe. Okay, so it isn't Brother Sid and Brother Quran that came up with this. The history is there if you want to find it. You wonder why so many of the pedophiles are white? It's because of the culture. That is the culture. Okay, you wondering why so many gunshot victims end up black? It's because of the culture, right? You want to know why black people do money spreads and show thousands and thousands of dollars? It's the culture. You want to know why black women twerk every chance they get? You want to know why black women show their butt to the camera, not their face? It's the culture. It's not the race. It's not because they're black they're doing this. It's the culture that comes with it. You want to know why pedophilia and homosexuality is so rampant here in America? It's European culture. We're at Leviticus 20 and 13. Let's take a look.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
What did that say about homosexuality, brother?
Leviticus 20 and 13. If a man also lie with mankind, as he lieth with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them.
Scripture leaves no room for confusion. Marriage is explicitly defined as the sacred union between one man and one woman. The female-male union is the absolute unchangeable blueprint for the continuation of the human race, brothers and sisters. Straying from the biblical model of family isn't just a lifestyle preference. It's a direct rejection of the Creator's intent. Procreation stands as an undeniable proof, right? It stands as undeniable proof that the complementary union of man and woman is the essential spark of human existence. Ancient biblical law set an absolute standard, demonstrating just how seriously the text views deviations from the original design. Right? Scratch the surface of alternative lifestyles, and you'll frequently find a history of unresolved childhood trauma. Past abuse is often the hidden drivers behind modern struggles with identity and lifestyle choices. Okay, and we're going to talk about that. Why? Caucasian culture has defied ancient scripture for centuries to embrace homosexuality, and it's a truth we can no longer ignore. Okay, society is louder than ever, glorifying homosexuality because white culture has secretly championed the idea from day one. Okay, society is louder than ever, glorifying homosexuality. Why? The white culture has championed it from day one. Look closer. The sudden confusion gripping our children is the direct result of a massive, unstoppable white cultural wave sweeping the nation. This was their culture. Look it up. Look at Greece. Look at Rome. The legendary, towering white civilizations of the past didn't just accept homosexuality, they completely embraced it. Teenage identity is exploding at a record-breaking speed, driven entirely by the undeniable force of white culture shaping the youth. Millions completely ignored the shocking data revealing Ivy League universities as the absolute epicenters of gay culture here on Earth. It's no secret. The predominantly white Ivy League schools is operating as the ultimate powerhouse, promoting homosexuality like no other institutions on Earth. The elite, hyper-competitive Ivy League schools everyone is fighting to get into are the exact ones leading the homosexual agenda, and that's an undeniable fact.
A new analysis of recent polls shows Ivy League students are identifying as LGBT at a significantly higher rate than the rest of the population. According to a recent Gallup poll, 7.2% of the U.S. adult population identified as, quote, something other than heterosexual, a significant increase from 3.5% a decade ago. But Ivy League schools have seen the number of LGBT students increase at a much higher rate and exceed the national percentage. Nowhere was this more visible than a recent poll from Brown University, indicating 38% of the student body did not identify as heterosexual. Meanwhile, at Princeton, a student survey showed only 65% of the class of 2023 identified as heterosexual. At Yale, the Yale Daily News reported roughly 75% of the student body identified as heterosexual, while 14% said they were bisexual. Harvard students showed similar results, with 71% of incoming freshmen in 2021 identifying as heterosexual, and 13% identifying as bisexual.
Historical records prove Caucasian culture boldly defied ancient scripture to champion homosexuality, a reality we can't hide from, brothers and sisters. The secret is out. Modern society glorifies homosexuality precisely because white culture has passionately backed it from the very start. That's why, brothers and sisters, this is why the youth is confused. The answer is clear. An aggressive wave of white culture is actively taking over the next generation. Okay, the greatest white empires of the past didn't just tolerate homosexuality, they openly celebrated it. Okay, teenage numbers are skyrocketing. A massive cultural shift is overtaking the youth, and white culture is driving the entire movement. Countless people completely miss the staggering data, ranking Ivy League universities as the absolute gayest campuses on Earth. The data is undeniable. The overwhelmingly white Ivy League schools have transformed into the ultimate engine for promoting homosexuality. The truth, they can't hide. The elite Ivy League institutions everyone scrambles to get into are the exact ones leading the massive cultural change. Caucasian culture has consistently shattered scriptural boundaries to embrace homosexuality for generations. We have to be honest about that. Homosexuality and pedophilia has been widely accepted in Caucasian civilizations of the past, and we have to stop acting like that's not the truth. 75% of all convicted pedophiles are Caucasian, and that's something we can't ignore. Because pedophilia has always been a part of the sexual orientation of Caucasian civilizations from the past, it still thrives today. Remember, most people totally ignore the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania mayor, Chad Carr, who was just arrested for child pornography.
Now, live with breaking news, this is ABC 27 News at Noon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm James Crumble. That breaking news, the now former mayor of Gettysburg has been arrested. Chad Allen Carr is facing child porn and corruption of minors charges. Carr stepped down as Gettysburg mayor last week, just 2 months after he was sworn in. At the time, the only reason given was a personal matter. On Monday, Borough Council accepted that resignation and now has 30 days to select a new mayor. Carr also stepped down from his role at the Gettysburg Community Theater. He appeared in court this morning and is now in Adams County Prison on $100,000 bail. State police and the Adams County District Attorney are holding a press conference at 1 o'clock to discuss this case. Our Seth Kaplan will be there. He will have the latest tonight on ABC 27 News at 5.
I'll have you go ahead and set the dog down.
I'm sorry, what?
Set the dog down.
Okay.
Thanks, sir. Turn around. Place your hands behind your back.
They've got a warrant for Pennsylvania.
You got anything on you?
A warrant from Pennsylvania? A warrant for what?
It's going to be a child case.
We're going to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Pennsylvania has issued a warrant for you for some reason.
Okay.
And we're just here to serve you.
Can you call the attorney?
I will.
Yeah, let them do that.
Okay.
And I appreciate y'all being cooperative with you. I will contact his attorney. I don't know. They're probably going to try to extradite him.
All right, these cuffs are double locked. They're not going to tighten up or hurt you in any way unless you pull on them.
Extradite him back to Pennsylvania. This is a new warrant.
Is this just your phone and stuff? Your phone pocket here?
Yes, sir.
Phone and wallet?
Phone and wallet.
They're telling me it's a new warrant, Chad.
That's fine. Can you take my belongings out of my pockets and put them and give them to my mother?
Be more than happy to.
We just need your ID. Okay.
We are going to take your ID with you.
Okay.
You don't have anything else in any of your other pockets?
No, sir. I might have Burt's Bees in the...
Okay, I think I can operate one of these. Look at that. It's going to be you.
And we'll put that in your property.
Okay.
Would you like me to go through the rest of your pockets?
I think there might be
I can see it.
Chapstick there. No, sir.
There's that. All right.
Looks like we may have interrupted your lunch.
That's okay.
You're hungry, I bet I can get you something to eat at the jail.
That's okay, sir.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and head out the front door.
Yeah, man, we'll have him at the Anderson County Jail. Okay?
Can you call his attorney? You don't need to.
I'll be you. It's probably a lot easier for you to call.
Okay.
They have to go through a big process. So they can't call. He can call y'all. And just once you get settled in, there's a kiosk that you can even text messages them on.
He's already been bailed out in Pennsylvania.
This is a whole new warrant.
It's another warrant.
Yeah, it may have something to do with bond conditions. I'm not sure what it is. It may have to do with bond conditions. I don't know what.
Oh, it's bond conditions?
Well, it may be, yeah.
The bonds person gave me permission, and so did the attorney.
Okay, so.
We both know exactly
But they just said it was a new warrant. They didn't specify exactly. But
all right.
We'll have to
once
sort
we
it out.
teletype them, once we get you to the jail, once we teletype them, I'll have more information for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Come on, that's it.
They're confirming that.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
But he's a hardened criminal.
Anytime we have a felony warrant, we
Can you focus on the dog right now and not me? Can you focus, mother?
Yes, I am.
Jesus Christ. Mothers.
Okay.
Lama, we're gonna.
I wouldn't say anything for anything. They got 3 new cases on it. Okay. So.
Okay.
If you want to tell them, that's up to you. I'm not going to tell your business to your
Yes,
parents.
sir.
You're a grown man.
I understand.
And this is between you and them up there.
I understand.
If you want to talk to your parents, I suggest talk to your attorney about it. You can say to your parents whatever you want to tell them.
I understand.
Okay?
Thank you, sir.
The title of today's broadcast, brothers and sisters, racial fatigue. Racial fatigue. We are the Commandment Keepers Church, and we wanted to dive into this, brothers and sisters, because we can see the racial tension is brewing. And what we're doing today isn't to condemn white people. We're here to say white people have a lot on their plate that they need to be focused on, and it's not black people. Your biggest problems aren't black. Okay? So when you see your own skeletons, it should help you to be more humble and understanding when it comes to our community. All right, that's why we're showing this. We're not here to condemn white people for being white or for what their ancestors have done. No, we're not doing that. But what we are here to say is cut it out, man. Cut out the black fatigue stuff. Because if anyone should have fatigue, we should have exhaustion for how you've destroyed the earth. Okay, so we just wanted to put it out there. Follow us to Matthew 7 and 15. We'll also read 16 and 17. Okay, because the earth is the way it is because of the religion that is ruling the earth. Okay, let's take a look at that. We're in the King James Version of the Bible.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. You shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns, or figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit.
Read 15 one more time, brothers and sisters, please.
Matthew 7 and 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves.
Here Christ didn't just warn us. He dropped a bombshell exposing the predators hijacking the highest seats of spiritual power. The warning is roaring from Scripture. Venomous predators have breached the sanctuary and are running the show. Mega churches have turned into unvetted hunting grounds where predators hide behind a collar. Okay, thousands of staff members face indictment every year for child abuse. Okay, but the institutional silence, it continues. Think about the Christian church. Think about the Catholic Church. Christ pulled back the curtain on church leadership, revealing that what? Dangerous actors have seized the reins of authority. This is where we are. He says, beware of false prophets. Beware. They come to you in sheep's clothing. Scripture lays it down cold. Putting blind trust in any religious leader is a fast track to spiritual suicide, brothers and sisters. Okay, the Lord tells us, do not trust these pastors. Do not trust these popes and priests. Stop following blindly. Christ explicitly commands us to inspect the fruit and vet the leaders we follow. Okay, a title doesn't equal truth. Stop worshiping the pulpit and start testing the spirits, brothers and sisters. Why? If you follow a blind or corrupt leader, you are sprinting towards a ditch. Okay? You're headed straight towards the ditch. The days of unchecked spiritual authority are over. Demand radical accountability from the altar. Okay? Think about this, brothers and sisters. Sin isn't just sitting in the pews. It's being actively packaged and promoted right from the pulpits. This is where we are, brothers and sisters. The Lord is warning us in the deep shadows of massive ministries, thousands of crimes against the innocent go completely unspoken of. The system wants quiet. Christ demands truth. Expose the corruption. Protect the flock, brothers and sisters. Okay, there is an institutionalized cover-up. The Catholic Church is covering up scandals to protect the brand, and God is bringing it to light. This passage is a high voltage shockwave designed to wake up every sleeping believer in the pews. Stop falling for the lights and the smoke machines while the wolves are eating the sheep alive. There is a reason why the Roman Catholic Church has SA'd thousands of minors over the last 50 years. Remember, pedophilia was accepted in Roman culture, and that is a fact that cannot be denied. There is a reason why there's so many pedophiles among the white community, and it's because that was always their culture. Okay, the biggest church in the world just happens to be the Catholic Church, and they are known for the sexual abuse of minors. Because most parents never studied the culture of Rome. They're shocked by the pedophilia that happens in the Roman Catholic Church. Most Christians totally ignored the fact that the Catholic Church in LA just settled for $900 million, admitting to sexually abusing thousands of children.
Breaking news now, the LA Archdiocese has just agreed to the largest single settlement for child sex abuse in the Catholic Church. It's an historic $880 million. Now, this involves more than 1,300 claims of child sexual abuse. The allegations were against priests, other clergy, and lay people from the Archdiocese. The lawsuits came under a state assembly bill that allowed a 3-year window for old cases to be revived. Some of the cases date back to the 1940s. If approved, the Archdiocese would make payments in 2025 and 2026, and it's on top of the previous $740 million already paid to other victims, bringing the total payout to more than $1.5 billion. Los Angeles Archbishop Jose Gomez had this to say about the settlement. "I am sorry for every one of these incidents from the bottom of my heart. My hope is that the settlement will provide some measure of healing for what these men and women have suffered."
White culture accepts the sexual abuse of children, and that's a fact that cannot be denied. The reason there's so much sexual immorality is because that was always European culture. Okay, white believers must open their eyes and recognize that their culture has destroyed society more than anyone else. There is a level of responsibility that needs to be accepted by white Christians, and this lesson is showing why. Okay, the sexual immorality we see today is a result of European influence on society. Every Catholic church in the United States is sexually abusing children, and that's a fact we can't deny. Most people totally forgot that the Catholic Church in New York City just settled for $800 million, admitting to sexually abusing thousands of children.
The Archdiocese of New York is proposing a new settlement for sex abuse victims. The Archdiocese offered to pay $800 million to 1,300 people who say they were sexually abused as minors. This case stemmed from claims under the Child Victims Act, and the proposal comes months after the church sold off properties, laid off staff, and reduced its operating budget to come up with the funds. As part of the settlement, the church will need to keep maintaining its list of accused clergy on its website.
We don't want to hear another white person talk about Black fatigue, because there's a lot of evil in your own backyard that you need to deal with. Most of these racist bigots will totally ignore the evil in the white community so they can focus on the blacks and our indiscretions. Pedophilia is part of Caucasian culture as much as the charcuterie board. 70% of all pedophiles are white, and that's a truth we can't ignore. We just can't ignore it. And this isn't to condemn all white men as pedophiles. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is you have to open your eyes. Protect your children. Understand why society is the way it is. Because, see, white people don't know history, right? And if you're going to be with us, the Commandment Keepers Church, we're going to give you an inside look into the history, right? The Lord says you protect the future by remembering the past. You protect the children by remembering the past. Okay. We just wanted to talk about it because white culture has always been sexually immoral. Always. There was never a time when Caucasian, culture was chaste. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6, brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters, we're here at 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 18. Let's take a look, please.
1 Corinthians 6 and 18. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body.
What did that say, brothers and sisters?
1 Corinthians 6 and 18. Flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body. But he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body.
Paul's first rule of engagement: never underestimate the massive grip of sexual temptation. The only option is flight. The Bible doesn't say fight, it says flee. Running away is the ultimate weapon. Okay, don't stand there quoting verses to sexual temptation. Paul says, pack your bags and get out the room. Okay, when passion hits, don't try to outthink it. Physically distance yourself immediately. Scripture makes it clear the best defense against sexual traps is a fast pair of running shoes. Sexual immorality is a unique beast because it's entirely self-destructive. It attacks you from the inside, brothers and sisters. Okay, this isn't an external mistake. It's a direct strike against your own body and spirit. Okay, the Bible flags sexual sin as uniquely dangerous because of the deep personal damage it leaves behind. Caucasian culture has consistently shattered the scriptural boundaries to embrace sexual immorality for generations. Okay, the cultural obsession is real, fueled entirely by a white heritage that has loved and protected the idea since day one. The colossal white civilizations of antiquity were defined by their complete embrace of homosexuality and pedophilia. Because the great white civilizations of the past were sexually immoral, of course, it led to pedophilia, brothers and sisters, of course. God warned us in the Bible that sexual immorality left unchecked would lead to pedophilia. Remember, most people ignored the Bibb County, Alabama bunker that was recently uncovered being used for the sexual abuse of minors.
The Bibb County Sheriff's Office says 10 children ranging in age from 3 years old to 15 years old are known to be victims in a child sex trafficking ring happening off of Aaron Drive. Sheriff Jody Wade believes that this all began in 2022, even though an investigation wasn't started until 5 months ago.
No child deserves this. That's the most horrible thing you can do, the power and control of it, the stealing the innocence of a child and the horrible victimizations they went through with these monsters.
The Bibb County Sheriff's Office released these pictures from inside of the bunker. You can see a bed with a dirty mattress and a few chairs, as well as a small chest of drawers with a kitchen appliance on top. Sheriff Jody Wade says the children were not kept permanently in the bunker, but the timing of how long they were in there at one time would vary.
It depends on what appointment time the offenders had. Sometimes the children would be there, tied to a pole that was there, bound to a bed that was there, or in a chair that was there. Sometimes there would be multiple people that would come by and victimize these children on a nightly basis. I know God's forgiveness is boundless, but if there was a limit to it, I think we reached it.
According to the Bibb County Sheriff's Office, the investigation began in February after the Department of Human Resources received a claim of child abuse at a home on Aaron Drive. The Sheriff's Office discovered sexual abuse was happening in a partially underground storm shelter detached from the house, which is what investigators refer to as the bunker.
It was built for a good thing and used for a horrible thing.
Wade believes this case could have ties to the Serrano gang, a gang he says gets most of its money from child trafficking. According to the Sheriff's Office, the suspects could make up to $1,000 a night victimizing the children.
The case first started in February of this year. The Department of Human Resources had information that there was possible sexual abuse going on at the residence on Aaron Drive. They contacted the Sheriff's Office, and Chris and Justin immediately responded there, and they were able to determine that yes, there was sexual abuse of children occurring there. This was occurring in what had been referred to as a bunker. It's actually a storm shelter. When you pull into the driveway, it just looks like a shed where you park cars, but when you go around back, it's actually an underground storm cellar where all these incidences took place. They were able to interview the first suspect, William Chase McElroy, and as a result of that, they located another suspect, Dalton Terrell. He confessed and gave more information that led to it being opened as a human trafficking investigation. After that, new allegations resulted in the arrest of Timothy St. John, Rebecca Brewer, Sarah Terrell, and Ricky Terrell. So as it stands right now, the total number of victims are 10. Unfortunately, we expect more victims to be found. We're looking right now at 7 individuals that have been charged with a variety of horrible crimes. The first suspect is William Chase McElroy. The victim's ranged in age from 3 to 10 years old. His charges are 4 counts of rape first, 6 counts of sodomy first, 6 counts of human trafficking, 4 counts of kidnapping first. And we have mugshots available for you that we'll provide you after the conference. The second arrest is of Dalton Terrell. His charges are rape first, 5 counts, sodomy first, 7 counts, human trafficking, 6 counts, kidnapping first, 4 counts. The third arrest is Andres Velasquez Trejo. His charges are 6 counts of human trafficking. Those victims ranging in age from 3 to 15 years old. Next is Timothy Dale St. John Jr. His charges are 2 counts of rape first, 4 counts of sodomy first, 4 counts of human trafficking, 3 counts of kidnapping first, 1 count of bestiality, 1 count of aggravated cruelty to animals. In addition to the animals, the victims ranged in age from 3 to 10 years old. Next is Rebecca Brewer. Her charges are 8 counts of human trafficking, 8 counts of kidnapping first, 3 counts of sexual torture. Next arrest is Ricky Terrell. His charge right now is 1 count of rape first. We anticipate more charges on these other ones as they have just been arrested last night and have not been to grand jury yet. The final arrest made, Sarah Louise Terrell. Her counts thus far, 1 count of sexual torture, and 2 counts of sexual abuse of a child less than 12 years old.
Brothers and sisters, follow us to Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, the title of today's broadcast, Racial Fatigue. We're at Galatians 6 and 7. Let's take a look, brothers and sisters, please.
The book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
Read that again, please.
Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
White culture sowed centuries of immorality, and today we reap history's most hypersexualized era. God is not mocked. The global explosion of sexual chaos is the exact harvest of white culture's historical choices. Okay, white culture planted the seeds of moral compromise, triggering the most sexually lawless time in history. White culture's long-standing defiance has plunged modern society into absolute sexual chaos. Okay, you reap what you sow, the Bible says. The unprecedented perversion of our time is the direct, inevitable crop of white culture's legacy. This was European culture. The bill is due. Caucasian culture spent generations cultivating immorality, and the world is now drowning in the fallout. Okay, Galatians 6 and 7 proves it. By abandoning biblical boundaries, white culture engineered the most sexually fractured era on earth. No one escapes the harvest, brothers and sisters. Centuries of white cultural compromise have unleashed history's greatest wave of sexual confusion. The scales don't lie. Caucasian culture sowed the wind, and society is now reaping the whirlwind of total sexual lawlessness. God cannot be ridiculed, and white culture's moral drift has birthed the ultimate hypersexualized generation. Everywhere we turn in Caucasian culture, you see the sexual abuse of minors, and that's a fact we cannot deny. Most people totally ignored Thomas Felser, the school bus driver who was recently convicted for sexually abusing children on his own bus.
Let's get to breaking news here at 5 o'clock. A Pewaukee bus driver on trial accused of sexually assaulting girls on his route.
Thomas Felser faces 11 felony charges, including first-degree sexual assault of a child. 12 News' Kendall Keys is live at the Waukesha County Courthouse tonight. And Kendall, the trial got off to an emotional start.
All right, Blake, this morning we watched as the jury was seated, 7 men and 7 women. And the first witness the state called to testify was the mother of a young victim prosecutors say was sexually assaulted on her school bus. Before even speaking, we watched her reach for a tissue, emotional, having to recount what she says happened to her daughter on her bus.
This case is about a bus driver who was entrusted with the safety of the students. And instead of getting them to their destination safely, he preyed upon them.
With a jury seated in Waukesha County Court, the state lays out its case against Thomas Felser, a Pewaukee bus driver for years, an educator for decades, accused of sexually assaulting young girls on his bus. His defense attorney setting out to poke holes in the state's evidence.
The videos in this case most of them are ambiguous or just flat out not showing what the police believe they show.
The first surveillance video shown in court Monday. The mother of a 6-year-old victim says she became concerned after tracking her daughter's bus app. She drove to the bus and found her daughter alone with Felser. To protect her child's identity, we're not showing the victim's mother.
He was like a deer in headlights. When he looked up from me, you could tell his eyes were wide, and he took a deep sigh, and to me, he was scared.
She says her daughter also scared.
And I could see her fear, and I could physically see her heart. When I looked through my rearview mirror and I looked at her, I could see her chest and it was beating, and I had strong suspicions that something had gone on. I didn't know to what extent.
She called 911 and Pewaukee police obtained weeks of video evidence from the bus company. Prosecutors say that surveillance video shows Felser sexually assaulting 4 girls on his bus. One victim as young as 4 years old.
The school bus driver accused of sexually assaulting girls on his bus took the stand today in his own defense.
Waukesha County reporter Brett Lemoyne live with how soon the jury could deliver a verdict and a warning. The testimony deals with sensitive topics. Brett?
Yeah, and Ted and Mary, you'll recall the Thomas Felser trial began on Monday. The state wrapped its case this morning, and the defense is expected to follow suit first thing tomorrow morning. But today, the focus was on testimony from Felser himself.
You will choose to testify.
Before Thomas Felser made the decision to take the stand Wednesday, defense attorney Craig Powell tried poking holes in the state's case. Powell says one of the alleged victims changed her story days before the trial.
Your eyes are better than what she feels.
My eyes saw what I saw.
The jury watched surveillance videos from Felser's school bus and a recorded interview with a 4-year-old. She told investigators Felser would put her on his knee. The preschooler said Felser's hands on her private areas made her feel uncomfortable.
Did you ever pull out her waistband to check or discuss the color of her underwear?
I never did, no.
Prosecutors say Felser sexually assaulted 4 girls between the ages of 4 and 6 years old. Police say it happened last year while Felser worked as a school bus driver in Pewaukee. He told the jury he played a game with one of the students where she would move the dial on his watch and pretend to go to sleep. But when questioned by the state,
"You've kissed her before, right?"
I believe I might have kissed her on the forehead once.
Mr. Felser, have you ever heard of the term grooming?
I think so.
Prosecutors made Felser explain what was captured on those school bus surveillance cameras.
Where is your left hand?
My left hand is with the watch on there. Looks like it's at her chest level.
Where her breast would be?
Perhaps.
Now, when asked why his hand was seen up a girl's skirt on those bus surveillance videos, Felser said he was checking to see if the girl had wet her pants.
Brothers and sisters, where we are today is because of the culture that has come with the Europeans. You know, we're not here to condemn our brothers and our sisters, but we're here to hold up a mirror and say, you have work to do. You have work to do. If you want to make it into heaven, you have to turn away from the wicked culture that you have. We recently did a broadcast called Hip Hop Hypnosis, right? And baby mama drama, where we talked about baby mama culture in the Black community. We always call out the evil in the Black community. And that gives us a license to call out the evil in other communities. Okay? And we want to put it out there. We took a look at the civilizations of the past, Greece, or the Greeks and the Romans, 2 of the most powerful and intelligent civilizations in the history of mankind, which just happened to be white. And everything we saw then is everything we see today. To our white brothers and sisters, wake up. Turn away from that demonic culture and welcome the truth. We want to say, Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
Sin no more.
Sin no more.